Allow me to start, ladies and gentlemen, this particular session with two African proverbs. Because we focused on the snake, we missed the scorpion. Remember, we have these institutions and they're not working because we didn't ensure that they are doing the things they need to do. Claire told us, what are you doing it for? What is the purpose? The second one, a leopard is chasing us. And yet you ask me, is it male or female? Yes? So Africa, please, the right things, the right questions, the right models, the right movement forward. With that, allow me to welcome to come up to the podium, Axel van Trotsenburg, Vice President, Development Finance at the World Bank. Let's give him a warm round of applause. Thank you.
President Kagame, ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the World Bank Group, it's an honor to be here to welcome you to the 2018 Development Finance Forum, the DFF. President Kagame and the Rwandan government for their very warm welcome and hospitality. We are delighted to hold this year's forum in East Africa, and we are particularly excited that it's in Kigali, Rwanda. And let me also welcome government participants from here and elsewhere who have made the trip here to Kigali for this important event. There are three important trends in Africa and globally that, if well addressed, could become important drivers of economic growth and prosperity. These trends are creating both unprecedented opportunity, but also risk. I'm confident that with the diversity of development experts, private sector and investors gathered here, concrete ideas and actions will emerge with lasting development impact. Let me first turn to the first trend. It's urbanization. Africa is experiencing extremely rapid urbanization. The expectation is that by 2040 there will be over 450 million new urban dwellers, with half of Africa's population living in urban areas. Mostly young people looking for jobs. Over the next few decades, African cities will double in population and many cities will be arising. This trend will have a huge impact on the continent's housing needs and will require new approaches to affordable housing. There will also be a high demand for urban planning strategies to ensure cities are inclusive and are engines for economic growth and expanded job opportunities for an increasing number of young people in Africa. Governments need to join hands with the private sector to increase investment in affordable housing, to expand access to and improve the quality of existing stocks, all while this is making it easier for people to access finance to buy land and housing. It's also for this reason that housing is an important topic at this conference. The second trend is technology. The good news is that tech hubs across Africa are nurturing a new wave of African startups and are helping connect them with investors. We really like the Rwandan initiative to establish an innovation city here in Kigali. We see other similar initiatives elsewhere in Africa and are optimistic that this will proliferate in years to come and are strongly supportive of this trend. Digital innovation in Africa is being helped by the increased use of mobile phones, enabling African consumers to leapfrog existing business models and technology. Fintech presents unmatched opportunities for opening small and emerging sectors, such as tourism, to larger markets. By making tourist destinations more accessible, enabling access to new clients, investors and service providers, fintech solutions can turn the tourism sector into a mainstream industry. Tourism can be a powerful vehicle for economic growth as well, and job creation, while ensuring natural ecosystems are preserved and sustained. Fintech can also promote the productivity gains in the agribusiness sector through digitalization of production, distribution and logistics. It can help deliver innovative solutions to stakeholders throughout the supply chains, such as new agricultural risk insurance products. And finally, the third trend is integration. African commitments to integrating their economy has been strong, but we also need to recognize that implementation progress has been at times mixed and challenges remain. Greater regional economic integration and cooperation among African countries support innovation, competitiveness, and investor confidence. For example, the tripartite free trade area and the continental free trade area are major milestones in Africa's trade integration that demonstrate the continent's commitment and progress. Moreover, the East African community has been leading the way in regional integration, particularly through its achievement in trade and the free movement of people. Africa, as a single market of 1.2 billion people, has over $3 trillion in continental GDP and a growing middle class. It has all of the ingredients needed to become a favorite investment destination, not least in the three focus sectors in this year's forum: agribusiness, affordable housing, and tourism. The World Bank Group is very optimistic about the investment opportunities in Africa. We are encouraged that more and more investors are sharing this sentiment, and Rwanda is a prime example for successful investment opportunities. If investor supply can be matched with investment demand in East Africa, we can create productivity gains and shared economic dividends for the countries and the region. The key question is, of course, how can the interest of potential investors be converted into actual and sustained investment in East Africa? Well, risk, both actual and perceived, is one of the main determinants of investment decisions. And let me be clear, every investment bears a level of risk. The challenge is how to best to de-risk. In this context, the World Bank has addressed this issue head-on in IDA 18. One important initiative is within our current IDA program, in which we have allocated $2.5 billion to a private sector window that explicitly helped de-risk and mobilize private sector capital. It's flexible, helps to address credit as well as exchange rate risk, and extends the horizon of financing in key economic areas. We're currently actively exploring opportunities for PSW investments in Rwanda. Much of East Africa's recent growth has been generated through government investments. While government investments are critical, lasting economic growth, jobs and transformation that increase long-term productivity, employment and shared prosperity require private investment enabled through well-functioning capital markets. It also requires other enablers of private investment, such as appropriate government policy, sound institutions, and predictability. To achieve a virtuous circle of investment that benefits everyone in East Africa, it will require public and private partnerships. This forum is a unique opportunity to strengthen this, to align interest, co-deliver, and coordinate win-win solutions. Let me conclude by saying a couple of words about the World Bank Group support for Africa. We are strongly committed to expand our engagement massively in Africa. An important step was the 50% increase of the IDA resources for low-income countries, and particularly Africa, in IDA 18. This means over 3 years we'll commit $45 billion in concessional resources for Africa, and we're off to a good start because the last fiscal year we delivered globally $24 billion, but over $15 billion for Africa. So the absorption capacity is there, the partnership is working, and I'm happy that we have proven many of the doubters wrong, that there is no capacity to implement projects in Africa. We can do it together, and that's very good news. The recent capital increase of IBRD and IFC explicitly focus also on how to expand its engagement in IDA countries. IFC, for example, intends to expand its engagement in IDA countries, mainly in Africa, from about 25% to 40% of its business by 2030. So we believe that with private sector expansion supported by multilateral organizations like the World Bank Group, we can support the African private sector as well as governments in their complementary investments. We hope that with this forum, we can further strengthen the partnership, especially with the African private sector, and this will lead to new opportunities and investments. We are very optimistic that with this partnership, we can contribute to boost growth and prosperity in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not further explain what the World Bank can do, but it just is a point that there is a very strong commitment by the entire team, whether it's our private sector colleagues or in the IFC Amiga or our colleagues in the IBRD and IDA. But we're very happy to do this all in the partnership with you. And in this context, we are very happy again to be here today in Kigali.